Hello, my friends. Hello, hello. Welcome. It's Trish Carr from Women's Prosperity Network. Come on in, sit down, make it home. Oh, you probably are, or at your office, or wherever it is you are. We're so glad to have you with us today. We are here for another episode of Be Real, Get Real with Women's Prosperity Network. And as I said, I'm Trish Carr. I'm your host today. And this show is all about people. We're all in business. Most of us are small business owners, entrepreneurs. Some of us have full-time gigs and the business is trying to grow on the side. Most of us have our own businesses that we do full-time. But wherever you are, when you think about business, we do business with people we know, we like, and we trust. And the more we know them and the more we like them, the more we trust them. So Be Real is all about meeting the people behind the business. Because honestly, we don't do business with businesses. We do business with people. So today, my guest is the amazing Betsy Rossum. And let me tell you something about Betsy before I bring her on. She's been known to change minds in minutes. She is an Amazon bestselling author, a certified EFT. And if you've never heard of EFT, it stands for Emotional Freedom Technique. And it truly is an emotional freedom technique. She also is a Reiki practitioner, a Psych K facilitator. Now, I know some of this sounds like, what? What's Psych K? Oh my gosh. You are going to be so happy because it's like Pandora's box, what we're opening here with Betsy. She is certified in so many ways to support you in your mental health and in your spiritual health. And that's what she's all about. She has a master's degree in mental health counseling, and she is a minister from the Universal Life Church. So she's got the whole package, as they say. So let me welcome Betsy Rossum to the show. Betsy, so good to see you. How are
Thank
you
you.
doing, my friend?
I'm doing great. It's a great day today. Every day is a great day. Thank you so much for this opportunity to share with
Oh,
everyone.
it is so my pleasure. We've known each other for a really long time now, Betsy. I don't even know how many years. It's 10,
I
12,
think
something
it's
like that.
close to 10, yeah.
Yeah, and we've been so lucky that we were able to do some fun adventures together. You were at one time one of the leaders at Women's Prosperity Network, and we've done courses together, spiritual healing together. And when you wrote your book, Making More Than Lemonade, When Life Throws You Lemons, just that book and all the many things that you've experienced. So, you have experienced some trauma in your life, girl. And for someone who knows you so well and who's been through some of it with you, you are amazingly resilient. So tell us a little bit about what you've experienced and how you've dealt with it to be the full, confident, amazing woman that you are.
Thank you, Trish. When life throws you lemons, I believe it's my job to make more than lemonade. You make lemon zest, lemon meringue pie, and lemon potpourri. And when life throws me problems, I've got to find the blessing in it. And it started when I was born. My first trauma was being born. I was not wanted. I came at a very inopportune time,
Mm,
uh, and there was childhood abuse, and physical and emotional. And then because of that, I had this belief that I wasn't good enough, which
mm.
when we have those kind of beliefs, our RAS continues to find people, places, and things to make that belief more true.
Wait,
So
tell everybody what RAS is because we all know we have it. We just don't know what we call it.
it's a reticular activating system, and its sole purpose is to make every belief that we have on those little neurotransmitters in our brains, every belief we have, it goes and finds, it's a locator, finds people, places, and things to continue to make that belief true.
Mhm.
So, and that's why it's important to change the belief, my belief,
Yeah.
I'm not good enough, because the belief that I had of I'm not good enough enabled me to marry a man that was abusive to me and to stay in that marriage for 29 years. He was physically
Wow.
abusive, emotionally abusive, sexually and financially abusive to me. And until I changed that belief, I continued to have a lot of traumas. In that marriage, I experienced not only those abuses, but he was a pilot and he had a helicopter crash. He jumped out of a burning plane in the middle of the ocean and survived it. So that
Oh
was a
my
trauma.
god.
My mother had
Wait,
cancer.
slow down. Slow down. He jumped out of a burning plane into the ocean and he was rescued,
Between Santo Domingo and Puerto Rico and was rescued.
and
Yes.
you were married to him at the time?
I was married to him, yeah, and he
Oh my gosh.
previously had had a helicopter crash in the middle of the ocean and had been rescued. Um, so I was living on high alert
I
because,
would stay away from being on things over the ocean if I were him. My
um,
gosh.
then my mother had cancer and passed away.
Mm. How
My
old were you then, Betsy?
She was 60, I was in my 30s.
Yeah,
She
okay.
was very young. She was 62,
Yeah,
and,
that's young.
yeah, and then, my oldest daughter was run over by a car and survived it. That same daughter, when she graduated from college, went to she was, she was a musical theater person that was singing and dancing on a cruise ship, fell off a moped in Greece and broke 4 ribs in her back and had to be airlifted. At that same time, my son was suicidal. He had just survived a house fire and got out of the house with just his clothes on while his truck burned up in the front yard. And at that same time, my dad had remarried and was married to a woman that was trying to kill him, and she had already put his eye out, and he was in intensive care because she attacked him. He had severe brain injury.
Wait, this is a lot. Let me unpack this. All at the same time. So
Yeah.
your daughter was airlifted from Greece, and soon after she fell and broke her ribs. Your
No. Yes.
father,
Yeah. She fell and broke her ribs and was airlifted. The same weekend,
oh, the same thing.
the same weekend, I'm getting calls from my son. He's suicidal because he had just experienced a few months prior to that this devastating house fire, and
So
and
he was suicidal. This is your son who lives in California now, right?
yes, uh-huh,
With you have a granddaughter from with him from
uh-huh,
him. So he had experienced his own trauma and it made him want to commit suicide.
yeah,
So now you have the trauma of your daughter, the
mm.
trauma of your son, and then your father is married to a woman that he finds out has been trying to kill him.
Oh yeah, yeah. She put him in intensive care. The doctor said that the head injury he sustained was similar to that of falling off a 3-story foot building. It was my birthday weekend, and I was teaching, and I had grades due, and it was like, do I fly to Greece for my daughter or to go to Clearwater to see be with my dad? And I stopped and I said a silent prayer, and I got, you just need to stay put and take care of yourself. Everything's going to be
Mm,
okay. Um, so there were a lot of traumas that I experienced in my life. Um,
wow. And all at once, like all within a short
some of
time.
them were a lot, some of them were, and I was still teaching. And here's the thing is, I didn't take time off.
How were you functioning with all of listen, my husband had a car accident last week, and I wasn't even in the car, and I felt like the trauma from it.
Yeah.
So, how did you continue to keep going among all of that trauma?
Well, first of all, I had a very strong faith. And second of all, I was in a support group for families and friends of alcoholics. Um, and I had a close support system. But I also, as we women do, we tell ourselves it's not that bad.
Right. And we
And
don't experience it as trauma.
no.
Right.
And so for me, the physical buildup of that trauma and all the other traumas, I ended up divorcing my ex-husband.
That sounds like it was a good move, Beth.
It was a good move. In the process, then I don't want to share the story of how this happened because it's another long story, but I manifested my current husband, who is such a prince and a gentleman and a wonderful man.
I
Um,
second that. He is truly a wonderful man.
and I manifested him. And when we started our marriage, I found myself having behaviors as if he was my ex.
Uh,
And they were self-sabotaging behaviors, and I was like, "Wait a minute." I had been to therapy, I had done a lot of work, and I was like, "This isn't right." I shouldn't be d I was a shoe dropper. I dropped shoes all over the house. My ex used to hate it, and I was looking to see, well, what's Ray gonna do about the shoes? You know? Um,
Let me set him up and see how he handles this.
yeah. So I at the time I had just trained in EFT, so I was using some EFT, and I knew that I needed to work with somebody else because when we work with other people, we need to take care of ourselves. And so I worked with a woman named Susan Somerset Webb, and she introduced me to,
Oh,
she's no longer with us.
right.
She introduced me to Side K, and oh my gosh, it changed that I'm not good enough, and I love myself unconditionally. I thought I had worked on that, but my subconscious still believed I wasn't good enough. My subconscious still didn't believe that I loved myself. And in about a 5-10 minute time frame, we changed those beliefs like that, and everything turned around. I would go to events and I'd walk in the room and people would say, "Oh my gosh, you're radiant." And I'd be like, "Yeah, I feel good. I feel good." Da 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 da.
Yeah, right.
And and here's the thing is I think I'm addicted to happiness and joy. I don't know. I want to be in that higher level of energy. So I'm gonna do whatever it takes to be in that joyful, loving spirit energy. Um,
Yeah.
and that's a driving force for me. I've been sad, I've been depressed, I've been exhausted, and it's not fun.
No, it's not fun at all.
No.
Not at all. It's nice to be addicted to happiness. I mean, if you have to be addicted to something, that would be the thing for sure.
And I married a
And
man that makes me married a man that makes me laugh all the time. Oh my
well,
gosh.
and all of these things that you experienced, and you said you had a great support system. I mean, clearly that's a really big part of being able to be resilient. But it didn't end there. You lost Caroline.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
was that? 6 or 7 years ago now.
6 years ago, it's so interesting because I'd come to a point where I was like, things are going great. This is wonderful. And I got a phone call in the middle of the night, and she was in a car crash created by a drunk driver. And we had to drive over to Clearwater. She was living in St. Petersburg. And when I went into the room, I knew she wasn't in her body. Florida has a process to determine brain death, and there's some tests that had to be done. So we had to wait for that to happen. And I kind of heard her in my head, "Mom, I can't go back to that body. I can't do what I'm supposed to do there." So when everybody else in the family was praying for her recovery, I was letting go.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
as hard as that is, and as hard as that was, um, I think my spiritual connection helped me through that.
Mhm.
And then when it was done, I had to go, I went to grief counselor, I did art therapy, I did EOB, I got myself, I did a lot of things plus the theta, and I started theta healing. I did all of those things because there's layers to trauma. It was the initial phone call, it was driving over there, it was seeing her in the hospital, it was seeing the crash televised on the news. It was, there were different layers to it. One of them was we were in the process of moving, and when I moved to the new neighborhood, and you introduce yourself and people ask about your kids. Well, as soon as I said Caroline's no longer, with us, it was like dead silence.
Yeah.
Um, the after effect of losing a child, there was another trauma in that somehow some people think it's contagious. I lost friends because they didn't know how to react.
Oh, Betsy, it's so sad, but it's so true.
It's true.
Yeah.
You know, there's a really good book that I read that was called It's Okay That I'm Not Okay. And it talks about
Mhm.
how our society deals with grief.
Yeah.
And the first week or two were like there and there, but the months and the years later, it's like, well, shouldn't you be over that by now?
Right. Shouldn't you be over that you lost your daughter 2 years ago? No, it's still with you,
Yeah. Yeah.
but you did go on and you lived fully. You just lived fully with the pain.
Yeah. And because of the work I've done, and it's the same work I work with my clients, and because of the work
Mhm.
I've done with myself, with my person, my theta healing guru is Karen Truhan, and the work I've done, um, it's changed the pain to an appreciation and a joy that she was in my life.
Mm.
I was privileged to be her mother. Here's this wonderful human being who came into this world. She almost didn't make it when she spent her first 6.5 weeks in intensive care. Almost lost her at the beginning.
Oh,
That was the other
wow.
trauma I didn't share. Um, and I think her sole agreement was, if you let me stay here, I'm going to make a heck of a bang. She was an elementary school teacher, music
Yeah.
teacher, and one of the schools she taught at named their outdoor theater after her.
Wow, that is such an honor. What a wonderful thing.
Yeah. So the legacy that she left behind, it was like, so today I live in the joy that I was privileged to be her mother.
Oh,
This
yeah.
human being that came here and picked me to be her mother.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's amazing. And Betsy, you do for other people what you did for yourself. And tell us a little bit about the types of things you do, Reiki and Psyche. I mentioned those in the beginning.
Mhm.
Tell me a little about that.
Okay. Um, Reiki is a form of laying hands and sending healing love. Really, it's really that simple. It's a Japanese process, and That's that's what that is. Psych-K is a combination of kinesiology, which is muscle testing.
Hmm.
Where we do muscle testing to test our beliefs, and it includes a form of self-hypnosis with brain gym poses, and it changes pretty quickly. In the last 2 years, I've got certified in theta healing, and theta healing is unique in that not only does it change those subconscious or core beliefs, but it can change genetics. It can change on the genetic level. It can change on the history level, which is past lives, and it can change soul contracts on the soul level. Let's say we made a soul contract and we've learned the lesson, but somehow it's on a loop and it needs to be changed. Really interesting thing happened the other day. I was cooking in the kitchen, slicing and dicing, and I had a puncture wound on my finger. And I immediately, put the Band-Aid on, and I did some theta healing on it to cancel the injury. And 2 days later, you can't even. I was like, which finger was it on?
Wow.
Which finger?
Wow.
Which finger was it on? And I mean, it was pretty bleeding, pretty profusely, puncture wound, and that's just an example.
Wow. Well, I know many of the people that you've worked with, and you do change minds in minutes. I love that. And I know you have a class coming up. So tell people how they can connect with you, what you got going on. I'll put up the link for the class. So if
Mhm.
you'd like to know more about the class, you can go to betsyrosum.com/20-20-me. So tell us about that.
Okay, it's gonna be 4 weeks of, it'll start in March. I haven't set the specific date yet, but it will be in March, and it'll be 4 weeks. It'll be at noon on a Wednesday, and, perfect lunchtime break, spend an hour, and we're gonna go in and find those blocks. We're gonna determine what your blocks are. There will be a, active support Facebook group where I will be posting several times a day things that you can do, answer questions. It will be it's not just a place to just go and, oh yeah, it will be a very active support Facebook group. And then you'll get a 30-minute session with me private. Uh,
Oh, wow.
and so 4 weeks of deep diving, and I'm really excited. Um, Most of these beliefs happened in the first 7 years of our lives. So if you really think about it, our life is on autopilot by a 7-year-old.
I know, it's wacky. It really is, it's wacky. Well, any of you who are with us today, I'm sure that you, like me, are in awe of all that Betsy has been able to get through, go through, and still be an amazing, resilient woman who has passion for supporting other people who are going through. We all go through stuff, right? We all go through stuff. So I urge you to get in touch with Betsy. If there's any stuff, and here's the other thing, even if you know you have stuff causing the things that are happening in your life, like setting up Ray to see how he's going to do with your shoes in the middle of the living room, like that whole setup was your old story. So
Mm,
we don't even know what's driving the things that we do in our behavior, and Betsy uncovers them. So I really urge you to be in touch with Betsy Rossum.
thank you.
Betsy, thank you so very much for being with me today. I so appreciate you. Your journey is extraordinary, and yet we can all relate to it because at some level we're all going through our own things. So thank you all. And thank you, everybody, for watching the show, for being a part of what we are up to here at Women's Prosperity Network. You know, one of the things Betsy said that really struck me was she had a support system of people who supported her. And being an entrepreneur, a small business owner can feel very lonely at times. So not only does Women's Prosperity Network provide you with training and resources and referrals and partnerships that can grow your business, we also support each other with love, attention, and caring, just as Betsy said. So I urge you to become a part of Women's Prosperity Network, and you can do that for free right on the website. Betsy Rossum, thank you again. Appreciate you so much, and I appreciate each and every one of you for watching today. We'll see you again next time with another episode of Be Real, Get Real.